Hey teacher friends, today I want to take a look at the new layout for Teacher Time Machine. They've recently launched a new interface and it's quite nice. So let's log in. If you have trouble logging in with Google, it does make a mention up here you might want to do a password reset. That solved the issue for me. So now I can hit the login with Google button and choose my work account. And when it comes to the screen that asks about giving it access to your Google Drive, you're going to want to check off select all there so that when they get the button put into place that will allow you to save directly to your Google Drive, that you've given it permission to do that. So it's not pre-checked for you. You will need to check it, or you'll have to make some adjustments somewhere in your profile to get it to have the Google Drive. I don't know if we've got that ability quite yet in the new interface, but if it's not here, it will be coming. So we're on the new dashboard and you can see I've got lots of things over here I can do. We're going to go right away into Creation Zone today, and we're just going to take a look at what makes Teacher Time Machine different than some of the other AI utilities out there for teachers. And I will tell you right up front, I see a huge difference in the workflow. And I can tell that Teacher Time Machine was built by teachers, where the majority of other applications out there are built by computer scientists. And just like everybody else in the world, computer scientists think they know what teachers do, just like everybody else thinks they know what teachers do. But when you use Teacher Time Machine, you can tell that no, they don't. Because Teacher Time Machine starts you at the curriculum, looking at what have I taught that I'm trying to assess. So we're going to go right away into the test designer because that's something that all of us can relate to. I know grade 1, grade 2, you don't do so many tests, but it's one of those skills that as a teacher you have to have, even if you're not using it tons. So we're going to use the test designer to kind of take a look at this. So I'm just going to call this grade 6 social. And we're going to fill in our basic information. So here's the curriculum that they have already embedded for us, so you don't need to have your curriculum open. We're going to choose Alberta curriculum. We're going to choose grade 6. We're going to choose the new grade 6 social studies curriculum. So I want the one that's optional implementation here. I'm going to leave it in English. And then there is this worldview space here. It does not have a red asterisk. So you're not required to fill anything in there. And you see right away that that's for the Catholic districts because they do have a worldview that they adhere to in their instruction and assessment. So I'm going to go to the next step. And I don't have any questions added yet. So I'm going to add a question set. And here's where we dive right into the curriculum. So what general outcome am I assessing for these grade 6 students? There's 4 of them I can choose from. And so I'm going to put 2 of them on here just for the sake of having lots of questions to choose from. It's found 49 specific outcomes now that relate back to those. So let's grab some K's, some U's, some S's, and some P's for what we are testing here. I'm just going to randomly grab some. We've got some K's. There's a U, S's, and P's. So we've got everything from a cusp. Let's keep going, grab just a couple more for the other outcome. And then we can get into some of the competencies. So if I want to make sure that we've got some distinguished fact from opinion to identify bias, let's put that in. And then let's add our questions. So here's where I'm going to pick my question. So I'm going to start with multiple choice. And we've got this DOK, depth of knowledge. This tool will drill deeper for you. So let's go with a depth of knowledge 1, and let's do 5 questions at the depth of knowledge 1. We'll hit the plus, and that adds it to the list of questions that it's going to create for me. Now I'm going to multiple choice. Let's go depth of knowledge 2 so that we can compare them. Let's do 4 like that. And then let's go to depth of knowledge 3. Let's do 3 questions like that. And then let's pick something other than just multiple choice. So numerical response, matching. Let's do a fill in the blank. Let's give them 3 terms, 2 blanks, depth of knowledge 1. That works. And then let's put in a short answer or 2. So let's compare the depth of knowledge on those as well. So let's go depth of knowledge 1, short answer. We'll do 1 of those. And if you scroll down now, you can see that I'm starting to have a bit of a list of what's going on my test. Short answer, depth of knowledge 2. Let's do 1 question. And short answer, depth of knowledge 3. Let's do 1 question. So we've got a fair number of questions going on to this test. Let's hit save. I can add another set of questions if I want to, or I can generate the test. So let's generate the test. You'll note as we're waiting for it to come up with our questions that we can view the blueprint. We can also generate it at a parallel reading level, and we can translate it. So here are the questions that it has generated per the outcomes that I selected. With the question, I can view some details. I can make some edits to it. I can hit this little bookmark thing, and when I hit the bookmark, it's going to save it over here into the book called Assets. So if I'm looking at this going, this is a great question and I want to keep this one for future use, I can start to file some questions into my own exam bank type scenario. So I can save them into my assets, and if I select them to go on my test, I just hit that little radio button there. It'll show me that it's selected, and it outlines it with red. So I'm going to go through and I'm just going to keep all these questions. If I was actually giving this to a group of grade 6s, I would read this through a little more carefully. Now you'll note here, as we're changing from depth of knowledge 1 to depth of knowledge 2, we have a little more text that the kids have to read through before answering the question. So here's our depth of knowledge 2. We picked 4 of those, so let's put them all on our test. And then we picked some depth of knowledge 3, and so we are getting into some of the more complicated questions where they have to really start to kind of synthesize what they know about the topic. Here's our fill in the blanks. So there's their 3 words. There's the 2 sentences. We said we just wanted 2 blanks. Question 14, so now we are into the short answer. And I can get it to generate a rubric for me as well. So I can go with a 1-point rubric. Let's have 3 categories, and let's put lines on. Let's see what that gives us. We'll say yes to these questions. Then on this one, let's pick a 4-point rubric just to compare. Let's have 4 categories. Let's leave the answer style blank, and let's just go ahead and generate the test. Now you'll note it's offering me to regenerate unselected. I haven't selected 15 and 16 yet for inclusion in the test. When I check this one off, it offers to regenerate this one. So if I don't like it, I can leave it unchecked and I can ask it to regenerate for me. It will create another question of that same type, same knowledge depth, all those things, and it'll give me a new one to choose from. If I don't like it, I can regenerate again. I could literally regenerate as many times as I want until I like the question. I can also add some more questions. And if I've got some stuff saved in my assets, I can add it now. So I'm just going to select this question as well, and let's have it generate the test. It'll take a moment for it to generate, and it's going to give us a number of different things because we've asked for some rubrics and things like that. So it's going to give us those as well. So I've got the test. That's as a .docx file. Right now, that's a Word file, but as soon as we bring it into Google Docs, it's going to convert into a Google Doc. The ones that end with .xlsx, those are Excel files. Those will open in Google Sheets. And I'm not seeing the Google Drive button in the new interface, but they did have it in the old interface. And so I'm confident that even if we don't have it today, we are going to have it. So I'm going to click Go to Work page. And now you'll note I'm no longer in Creation Zone. I'm in my work. And we can see in my work that I've got a grade 4 fur trade item already. And now I've got this grade 6 social test. I can change the name if I want to. I've got a rubric for question 15. I've got a rubric for question 14. I've got a blueprint for the overall test. I've got an outcome analysis, and I've got the test. So we can edit the blueprint. We can edit view the test content and the results. We can preview the test. So let's do that. Let's take a look at what our test looks like. Okay, to me, that looks like very similar to a grade 6 PAT. So that's excellent. We can start preparing them for the way those look with tests that don't take us hours upon hours to create. Fill in the blank. Good. There's the terms. There's the 2 questions. Short answer. Got some lines for the answer. 15 and 16. Interesting that I don't have lines for those. I can fix that in Google Docs, though, or maybe it's just not showing on the preview. Sometimes that happens too. Then we've got the radio bubbles for students to do their answer on, and then you've got your answer key as well. Let's take a quick look at one of these rubrics. Let's see what it gave us. Okay, so there's the outcome. There's the alignment to the specific outcomes on the curriculum. Understanding key ideas, use of examples, making connections, and communication of ideas. Advanced, intermediate, There are I can statements, we've got basic, and we've got not yet. So we've got a rubric, and you could edit this as well, but it created that for me to align with the curricular outcomes that I selected. See what I mean? This was built by teachers. This was built by teachers. So I am going to download my test. I'm going to load it into Google Docs, and I'm ready to go with a grade 6 test for the new curriculum. I hope this was helpful.